What's going on, everyone?
What is going on, everyone?
What's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Fieldy's Flicks. I feel like J.K. Simmons' character in this movie is a lot like my band director in high school, only he's like 10 times worse. That doesn't happen if you don't have the first act setting up these characters.
His transformation to the end of the film is really the most intriguing part.
And sometimes when it stands out, it can also be a good thing because like, oh, that's really good. But then sometimes it can take away from what's going on. He is absolutely incredible in this role. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Fieldy's Flicks. It has returned for a movie that I'm really excited to talk about. We got a special guest, Connor Griffin, friend of the channel. He's been on an episode before when we talked about Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to talk about Tenet, directed by Chris Nolan, starring John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Kenneth Branagh. Really good cast. Connor, let me know your thoughts of the movie, kind of going in and how you're kind of feeling.
Yeah, going in, obviously the fact that this was the first movie to be released since COVID, and everything that's going down across the country, very exciting. The fact that it's a Christopher Nolan movie on top of that was very exciting as well. So going in, I was just had this high level of anticipation, and I was so eager to get into the theater, and it was so great to just be in there.
To start off, just to talk about it, I mean, this is sort of a movie that you really have to bring your brain for. You have to really pay attention to what's going on, and you usually have to in general for a Chris Nolan film, and that's really what I like about those kind of styles that he kind of does, and that's what he brings to the table.
This is a movie that demands the big screen. This is something that, and we've talked about it, like Christopher Nolan obviously preaches practicality in every single thing, for the most part, every single thing that he puts into his movies, it's shot in camera. It's not CG, it's, fully practical, and you get the sense of that in this movie for sure, between the landscapes, the settings, and then of course the insane special effects that look and feel totally real, because I think they are real.
Yeah.
I think they were actually caught in camera, so
yeah.
That's why I think it commands the big screen.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a cool, visually stimulating movie.
Yeah, and then the editing as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously there's a big part of this movie that the editing team and working with Nolan, they really worked hard to kind of, get all those shots aligned, and it really makes a difference because you're watching it and you're kind of in awe of what they're able to accomplish. And that's not the first time that's happened with me in watching a Chris Nolan film, so it's kind of not a surprise anymore to kind of see these things happen. How about we talk about the negatives first?
Negatives?
Let's go in the negatives first.
Okay, I'll say one of the big negatives that I had for the movie, and I was telling my friends this who hadn't seen the movie, so it was hard to kind of describe this without giving it away. The beginning of the movie is extremely plot heavy. It was very weird to me for a little bit, and it was a little bit difficult to track. And that's why I say it was a little bit plot heavy. There was so much setting up exposition-wise that was fine. Like, it was enjoyable to watch, but it could have been so much better, that part of the movie.
Yeah, I think it was more chess piece storytelling,
Yeah.
which I think Nolan does, but I was a little surprised to see it as much as we did in the first act, really, and it was a lot of quick dialogue back and forth, like really jumpy, and that's, for me watching it, I was like, okay, so what is going on? And you kind of have to wrap your brain around just little bits and pieces of dialogue. I did feel it was very fast-paced, and he does that a lot in his films, but I think the pacing was a little off, especially when you talk about the first act and kind of connecting that until the second and then the third. It kind of felt a little disjointed, in my opinion.
And going off of what you said, though, about the fact that there is generally a lot of exposition in Christopher Nolan films just because he's setting up completely new worlds in all of his films. I'll focus on Interception. We're playing football now. I'll focus on Inception and Interstellar. I combined the two.
Yeah.
Those two movies, you do have to lay a lot of foundation to get the audience up to speed as to what's going on in these worlds. But the thing that distinguished those two movies from this movie is an emotional through line. Not only do you need to be extremely focused on what is happening in the movie and what's being said because it's important for the story, But you also really need to pay attention because, again, this might have just been my theater. It's kind of hard to hear the dialogue in some parts.
I agree.
Kind of hard to hear the dialogue.
Yeah.
And I was trying, like my friend after the movie said, we probably like needed subtitles for some of that movie because it is a little bit difficult to hear the dialogue that's going on between the characters. And in a movie where dialogue is so important because Christopher Nolan is laying seeds throughout the entire film, that made it a little bit infuriating. I say infuriating, like it kind of was. So yeah, that's another negative that I had. But aside from that, really not much else.
Let's switch it up. Let's go to some positives. Okay. Some positives that you were thinking about while watching this.
Well, you and I were talking about this beforehand. The score, the score from Ludwig Göransson, von Göransson, really, really good. I don't think there's one particular theme, and now granted, I haven't gone back and listened to the score afterwards. I don't think there's one particular theme that necessarily stands out, and it's like, wow, that's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. But the consistency throughout the film, each different, like, big climactic scene has its own unique sound.
Yep.
And it all meshes so well. That's what I'm talking about with consistency. Like, it really fits. And I think overall, throughout the entire film, he does a great job.
Hans Zimmer was scoring Dune, so that's why he couldn't score.
Which that looks phenomenal, by the way.
We're very hyped for Dune, so someday soon in the future you will probably see a review of Dune. But yeah, he was busy doing that, so it creeps in your mind. You're like, well, how's this gonna feel? To me, he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
Ludwig Göransson, I believe his name is. We'll get it right, I guess. But yeah, he did not. It seemed like Hans Zimmer was there the whole time, but in the best way possible, because Ludwig is able to introduce his own little flair and have his own kind of moments in there, and I think that's really special to see because we're fans of him and we kind of know what he kind of does. He brings eclectic sort of kind of type scores. Talk about The Mandalorian. Phenomenal. And Black Panther. I think he did Fruitvale Station too. So he's worked a lot with Ryan Coogler. But yeah, that's definitely a positive, and I think that made a lot of the action set pieces and the emotional moments where you're supposed to feel kind of connected to these characters more enticing than it would have been, but it would have been Hans Zimmer, so it probably would have been good anyway.
Robert Pattinson.
Bobby Pat.
I liked him a lot. I'm starting to become a big Robert Pattinson fan.
Yeah, you should. Batman 2021.
Batman is going to be really, really cool.
Yep.
So I was a big fan of him. I wish he was in it a little bit more.
He's great at selling like little moments, and he's a great actor. I mean, a lot of people will be like, oh, he's the Twilight guy. He's the Twilight. He can't
He's
act.
risen above that.
He's a really good actor. So I mean, if you're doubting Bobby Pat, you gotta inspect yourself, man, because he's really good. I like the chemistry between him and John David Washington. I think they really sold that. And I mean, I loved John David Washington's performance in general. I loved him in BlacKkKlansman. He's really, obviously, he's got a good family of acting to go off of. And, I liked his chemistry with Elizabeth Debicki, too. And I think, personally, I love John David Washington's performance, but I thought Elizabeth Debicki's performance was the best in the movie. The only other thing I've seen her in was Guardians 2. She was in Guardians 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so when I saw she was cast for this movie, I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but she really killed it, and this is my favorite role of hers, even though this is only the second movie I've seen her.
Hey, still a favorite.
Do you have anything else, or do you want to score it?
I'll score it. I gave it... Actually, this is a shameless plug. I don't know if I've talked to you about this app. The Letterboxd app?
No.
It's Letterboxd. Letterboxd. It allows you to track every single movie that you ever watch. Like, it has an entire database where I could go back to 1947 and look through all the movies that came out during that year. Just scroll through, and then you just click on it, and then you give it a score if you watched it, and you can, like, log how many movies you watched.
See,
really cool.
That's awesome. I'm a more old-fashioned kind of guy. I just put it in my phone. I have a notes section of movies I've seen this year.
That works too.
I have like 40 things I've seen, and then you kind of got to scroll all the way down. Like, oh, what did I give Tenet? Oh, let me just give me a minute. Like, so that's way easier. I mean, Letterboxd?
Letterbox, yeah.
Letterbox? You want to sponsor me? I'm just saying.
I tried to get them to sponsor me over the summer,
like...
but I on Letterboxd I put it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. They only do 5 stars, so I guess that would equate to 8 out of 10.
I gave it the exact same score, and we did not talk about that before we
Yeah.
started this review. So, I mean, great minds think alike. For me, anything above a 4, most of the time, the majority of my scores that are 4 out of 5s, I would see again.
Yeah.
So, if it's below a 4, possibly. Maybe if it's on, I may watch it. But if you're just a movie fan in general, and you want to go back to the theater and just sit down, have some popcorn,
Yeah.
and enjoy a good film, I think you should definitely go see this, and I think that it'll be a good time, and you probably will go see it again.
But if you are one of those people who hates to have to pay attention in movies, if you just go to the movies because you just want to sit down and just like turn your brain off for a little bit and just take in the images and everything, this is not your type of movie. You and I, we're totally fine with being there and taking in every single thing that's happening and being totally focused. So that's why we loved it.
That's what we do.
Yes,
so I think
it's what we get paid to do.
So yeah, I mean, it's what we do. So you can't say it any simpler than that. But I mean, I enjoyed this. Connor, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
Second appearance on the channel. I'll have his links down below in the description. He does some really cool stuff, and he's a great friend. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support as always. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want. It's free. And I'll catch you guys later.